On the next all-new episode of Invincible Fight Girl.
Can't keep taking hits like this. If I keep my distance, I can buy Mikey and Craig more time. I can't hit her, but at least she can't hit me. Wait, why can't she hit me?
Invincible Fight Girl. Saturday at midnight on Toonami. Next day on Max.
Think you're hot stuff, don't ya? I can tell.
On the next all-new episode of Mashle, Magic and Muscles.
Now that's the look I was waiting for. Oh yeah, the kind of look that makes me want to break ya. Catch you later.
Ignore that guy. He's bad news.
Oh, thank God.
Huh?
I thought that dork smushed my cream puff.
Mashle, Magic and Muscles. Next Saturday night at 12:30. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Hello, welcome to our podcast, Toonami Therapy. We're recording on November 26th of 2024. I'm Michael.
Yeah, hello, I'm Tommy.
And we're here to, as always, talk about a bunch of stuff, some of which actually involves series on Toonami. Alright, well, I don't think there's any news in regards to Toonami or anything. We still, I think we mentioned it last week about how this upcoming week they're going to only have one new episode of Sailor Moon, then they'll just have a bunch of Dragon Ball Z Kai episodes a week after that, and after that, who knows? That's Rewind anyway. For the regular Toonami, I think it's, at least for like the first 4 shows, it's the regular stuff, and then they're just gonna, I don't know, mix things up afterwards a little. They're going to be showing 2 episodes of Dragon Ball Z Kai, I guess, because on regular Toonami at the very end, I guess to try to catch up with the extra episodes they're going to be showing on Friday in Toonami Rewind. Yeah. Alright, so I guess we'll just jump right into it. Alright, so we got Invincible Fight Girl episode 5. So, the, I can't remember her name, but the older wrestler woman basically tells Andy, hey, okay, well, really she just wants some excuse to not have to train her, so she says, hey, all you have to do is get 10 perfect strikes on this thing in a week, and I will train you. But perfect strike means she demonstrates it, which involves basically things that, as the characters legitimately point out, seems to defy the laws of physics. So basically after that, Andy's decided, okay, I'm going to try to do this, and the other guys are like, okay, well, we'll try to see how to do it. And what's his name? I don't know. The sort of scammer guy tries to like find a way to beat the system, but it doesn't work. But the other one, Mikey, is able to, well, he wants to do research and figure stuff out, but he's not able to access the videos. Anyway, they all manage to get all that stuff done, and they're able to look at the videos of the older woman person doing it, and then they manage to kind of figure out how to do it, and then they hit it, and, well, it actually doesn't, the counter still doesn't go up, but it almost goes up, so they're excited by that. And that's the episode, basically.
Yeah, I thought this was probably the best episode so far. Not that it's great, but I enjoyed it more than any other one.
Yeah, it was fun. I thought it was a good episode. So I do wonder though how long it'll take her to manage to do that. We're halfway through the first season already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And actually, I wonder if we'll get through it by the end of the year. No. No, we won't, because I think with the upcoming schedule, I think we'll only get a few more episodes. So we will not finish this unless they have a marathon. I don't know. I'd have to double check the schedule, but I don't think we will. Anyway,
how many episodes are there?
5. Well, we've got 5 episodes. It's a 10 episode first season, and at least I think it is. I thought I read that someplace.
Mm-hmm.
Let me check. Yeah, it's 10 episodes.
Okay.
10 episodes, it looks like. Okay, so after that, let's move into the actual anime stuff, instead of things that were just kind of inspired by it, or maybe not inspired, influenced, I guess. It's a better term.
Yeah.
All right, Mashle, episode 3. So, in this episode, they have to basically do, fly around on the broomsticks in this magic school, except Mash can't actually fly. So he beats someone in a race because he just takes a broom, throws it super hard, then jumps onto it, and then ends up landing at the finish line. And everyone thinks that he just rode it absurdly fast.
Mm-hmm.
Then another guy decides to use this to try to kind of basically, he tells Mash, hey, like, my father is the vice principal or something like that of the school. So if you do nice things for me, I'll put in a good word for you. So then Mash just decides to do all the stuff for him, but eventually, finds out, oh yeah, the guy was, just trying to use him. Also, Mashle's friend and roommate was actually working for that guy in order to, like, screw up his books, but then he feels bad about it and doesn't want to do it. So then the bully guy tells, but then after that, Mash wants to defend him, so he ends up going up against the guy who was telling him to do these things. I'm sorry, I keep saying the guy, I can't remember the names, and I don't think they matter after this episode anyway. So he finally, right, so he basically slams the guy, it beats him up, and then they want to try to, expel him, but Wahlberg, yes, that's his actual name, the guy in charge of the school, decides to defend him, to keep him in there, because he's kind of tired of the other guys corrupting things. And then just at the end, he kind of gets forced into playing in some sport involving the flying around in the brooms, even though he keeps protesting that he can't actually fly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I really went into detail on that one, but I felt like I had to explain everything, or else my description would make no sense.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty entertaining, actually. Had some funny moments to it. Although what you said that one point is that they could have done that one part better, you said.
Yeah, so to explain what happened, after Matt, so the bully guy tells, like, Mash, like, hey, if you hurt me, you'll get expelled. And Mash, like, goes, I don't care, and just slams into the ground. He says, wait, actually, that would be a really big deal if I were expelled. So that is in the original manga. That's where the chapter ends, where he says, wait, that would be a big deal. So it's a joke. That's where it ends. And that would have been the proper place to cut to the commercial break on that joke. But the anime instead has him slam him in, goes to commercial break, comes back, and then he says, oh, wait, that actually would be a big deal if that happened. So the joke doesn't land in the same way it does in the manga, where, again, that's why they ended the chapter on it. That was the ending joke. And by splitting it by splitting basically the setup and punchline across the commercial break like that, it doesn't work as well. So
Yeah. Unfortunately, that kind of took away from what would have been pretty funny, but overall, I thought it was pretty good.
yeah, I do think the anime plays things a little more seriously than the manga, which was more comedic. I mean, the jokes are still here. I just don't think it plays them quite as well. It's so that's a little hurts it a little, but enough of it kind of shines through, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so then we got Blue Exorcist episode 4. They meet this the shopkeepers, because there's like a store there at the Exorcist Academy, and they meet this girl who's like the daughter of the person in charge of it, and basically, to make a long story short, we have a very big flashback thing for her, and then she gets possessed by a demon, but then they beat the demon, and then she just joins the class to be an exorcist.
Yeah, her name is Shiemi, by the way.
Okay.
And she's pretty important to the show. So, yes, they are able to exercise that thing and get her so her leg isn't bad anymore, so she can walk. So, yeah, and I guess this is like the first big thing they've done since they joined the school.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, at times this episode dragged on with the flashback,
Mm-hmm.
Which was unfortunate. I don't know whether to say it was too much of a flashback. It probably was too much of one, but I don't think it was all that bad either.
Yeah, I the flashback was the thing that kind of got me bored. It's so long. There's so much stuff. And I don't feel a lot of it is really necessary. Flashbacks are like the thing in anime that's so annoying because it gets so overused so often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the thing. So many times I just think, look, this flashback, my opinion is, if a flashback we could get the same information with 2 sentences of dialogue, then you shouldn't have the flashback. And I mean, I guess it might have taken a little more than 2 sentences, but it still just felt like it belabored the point.
Yeah, I see what you mean by that.
Mm-hmm. All right. We move on to One Piece episode 695. Okay.
I see. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. So basically, let's see. Well, we have Luffy and Bartolomeo still trying to get to the place to do the thing, but ultimately what happens is Bartolomeo, when they come across the guy they have to fight, Bartolomeo just says, okay, you go on ahead and I'll take care of this guy, which that just happens so many times in these sort of series. You know, there's a group of people, they encounter a bad guy, and one guy's like, okay, I will stay and fight this guy. The rest of you go on. Meanwhile,
have a one-on-one battle.
Mm-hmm. All right. Meanwhile, Sabo, the guy who got the flame fruit, is just fighting the guy with the Admiral Fujitora. No relation to the character from Kaguya-Sama, and yeah, they fight a bunch really.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's the episode again.
Yeah. I was kind of bored by this one, so I don't really have much to add about it.
Yeah,
I thought it was pretty boring. So
there's often just not that much to say about One Piece. Let me actually, I
yeah.
was pulling it up. Let's see. Let's see. It looks like we got 2 pages of one chapter and 12 pages of another chapter. Or no, sorry, 9 pages of another chapter, I think. So yeah, we got about a little more than half of a chapter out of this one. I remember. Oh, the one thing I do remember, and that's the part I guess is when Rebecca does like go up against a guy who I can't remember what he did, but he did something bad during the past, and I just distinctly remember when it's showing the two of them, the screen just freezes for a little bit, like to pad. It's not like, it's not even doing the usual, like, hey, the very slow panning thing. It just is like, they just stand there for a bit. It kind of like that, notorious bit in Evangelion where when
Yeah.
like, Shinji's trying to decide to do what to do with Kawaru, and it just is literally
Right.
the same frame for like a minute.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near that bad, but it really did feel like they were just standing there. And then it does the slow pan up right afterwards. I never noticed like the slow pan up stuff until I saw like this one video that was kind of spoofing all the padding in One Piece, and after it like showed that to me, I always notice it now. If
You'll have to show me that video.
I think I did.
Oh, you did?
I'm pretty sure. It's
Yeah, I probably.
It's the one where like Luffy like moves his foot a little, and everyone goes, "Luffy moved his foot," and it shows all these reaction shots, and it cuts someplace else to like this guy who's getting the news that Luffy moved his foot.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find the video. I think I remember actually trying to find it again and having trouble. Dang it, I'm not seeing it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I showed you this video at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, I don't have it, but I know there was one that showed that. Okay, so moving, honestly, maybe for One Piece we should just try to write down what we see as the worst bits of padding and discuss those each week.
Yeah, we should. That should be our goal from now on.
Okay. All right. Moving on to Toonami Rewind series. We've got Sailor Moon episodes 44 and 45. So they get so Kunzai does this thing that's supposed to transport them to a random place, but I don't know if if it legitimately did just do this at random or if something overrode it, but instead they go and they like basically go meet like her mother, her like past lives mother, who basically gives them all the information about the backstory of how, oh yeah, there's a Moon Kingdom, but then they got attacked by the Dark Kingdom, and then they all got reincarnated into the lives we see them in now, and also her mother did some sacrifice thing that beat all the bad guys, but she died in the process. Except, no, it didn't beat all of them. It just because they're still around, but it weakened them somehow. I can't remember the specifics. So there we go with that. Oh, and then they beat Kunzite, so I guess he's gone now. Then, for the next episode, basically we go forward, and they're trying to go to the place to fight Queen Beryl and such. but then they end up going up against all these. There's coincidentally a group of enemies that there's 5 of who are all just like them, and they're all wearing surprisingly fan servicey outfits. Honestly, I mean, it's not as like it's weird because like the kind of old drawing style makes it so like it doesn't feel that fan servicey, but when you look at them, you're like, wow, that's a lot of that's like the most fan service this series has had. I feel anyway. So they basically fight them, and of course, and we of course do the whole, hey, you go, literally what I was talking about One Piece. You go on ahead, and I'll fight them, and all the other Sailor Scouts apparently die, I think, and
one by one,
yep, and then that's it basically.
Yep, they all die. And we're left with Sailor Moon fighting on her own until the prince comes to save her and all that. So, happy ending, wasn't it? Yep.
Well, we've still got
we'll get our happy ending. Yeah, we'll get our happy ending next episode. But, I think this was one of those things where, as a kid, whenever I either saw this or read about it or something like that, I was like, "Oh man, this is such a sad ending," and didn't realize that it's one of those things where obviously they all come back. So, so. Not bad, I'd have to say. Not great, but not bad.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, the plot's definitely moving. The question I was thinking of is, okay, so I know this was established before, but it's like, they were these girls in this place, and then they all got reincarnated into new lives on Earth and stuff. And I was just kind of thinking, why was that part even necessary? Why couldn't they have plot-wise, couldn't they have just been like girls who just, got like the powers granted to them or something in the past? Just all this weird reincarnation stuff I don't know if it was technically if they used that word, but it was something like that. Just feels kind of weird and stuff. I guess it feels like the only purpose this serves is to try to say, oh yeah, see, Usagi and Tuxedo Mask, they were together originally, so they're going to be together again. It shows how strong their love is, or something like that. And I'm like, well, okay, I guess maybe that's the point. Maybe that's why.
Mm-hmm.
So we've. Unfortunately, I get the feeling that this is going to have to feel like an anticlimax, because I'm thinking, okay, like they're going to beat Beryl in one episode, I guess, and not only that, they have to beat her, have everyone come back, and then tie up any other loose ends in just one episode. So I'm going to guess that it's not going to feel very climactic, because they'll probably have to rush through everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I see exactly what you mean. Yeah.
I could be wrong. Maybe it'll work well, but that's just what I'm thinking about going forward. Next week, apparently, they're going to rerun the second of these episodes, and only one episode will be new. I guess they just want to end on this at the end of the season. So people are wondering, are they going to be dropping it or something, or what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know yet. All we know is that the week after that, we'll get a bunch of Dragon Ball Z Kai episodes to, I think, finish up with like all the stuff with Ginyu, so they can move on to Frieza.
Yeah. But I don't know why they're doing the whole. So you say the reason why they're doing the Dragon Ball Z thing is so they can get through the Ginyu arc. I
don't know if that's exactly why, but people have mentioned that is where the the timing will finish. And if they're just trying to get to that point, it would make sense if that was the goal, to try to, okay, we'll finish with this current fight, and then afterwards, if we come back, who knows what's going on with Toonami Rewind. Maybe they'll announce it's over. Maybe they'll replace things. Who knows? But it seems like they're trying to get to that as sort of an end point. Maybe it'll go on hiatus. Maybe that's what they're aiming for. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would have made a good transition to Dragon Ball Z Kai, but let's stick with the regular order and go to Naruto, episode 38. So they mentioned that, for as if they hadn't said it enough times in the previous episode, an unusually high number of people have made it this far in the exam. So they decide they're going to do sudden death, one-on-one battles to decide who advances. There's no one mentions what's going to happen, considering they've got an odd number, but good news for them, Kabuto just decides to drop out, and that makes it even. Sasuke is being hurt by his curse seal, and Sakura tries to tell him not to drop out, but he refuses. Sasuke ends up being the first to fight, and he kind of gets told by Kakashi, yeah, we totally know about that curse seal, so don't use the Sharing gun, and also I'm going to have to stop you if it starts to overtake you or whatever. So then Sasuke's fighting, and then he's losing because he can't use all that stuff, and he's eating the pain and stuff, and that's basically our episode. Now, the big thing I noticed about this episode, and maybe you noticed this too, is how many characters are talking to each other about really confidential things in full audio, in where they can easily be heard by other characters. Sakura and Sasuke are she's saying, no, you can't go on. You got that cursed seal. I'll tell people about them to stop you. And no one apparently hears them, even though the rest of the would-be Chunin people are all standing right next to them. And not moving either. They're just none of them give any result. They're just standing there motionless during this. It's so weird. And then we have the instructors kind of arguing about some stuff. Again, stuff that's supposed to be kind of more secret, including the point where some of them are shouting at each other about it. Again, there's this big group of kids in front of you that will hear everything you say, and apparently no one notices any of this.
Yeah. Doesn't make much sense, but that's Naruto, so that's what it is.
Yes, there wasn't too much else to say, really, because it was mostly a bunch of talking. I mean, we got a fight at the end, but we didn't finish it, so it's still in progress.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. And then finally we have Dragon Ball Z Kai episode 33. Goku's really strong, and he starts he's doing well against Ginyu, and Goku offers to say, hey, if you guys leave, I'll just spare you and everything will be fine. But Ginyu's not interested, and then he abruptly wounds himself for some reason and does something, and then we'll find out what happens next episode. Although, honestly, if you've been hearing us talk, you'll already know what's going on.
Yeah, it's that first episode that I saw of Dragon Ball Z Kai next week. So I'm looking forward to seeing that again. And I remember when we were watching this, I'm I didn't know anyone's name, so I was like, Fajita, and I was like, no, it's Vegeta. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I did mention the fact that Frieza does go over to the Grand Elder to try to get information on how to use the Dragon Balls. And Nail decides to try to stall him by fighting him. But, well, I mean, I guess he at least is accomplishing that. Story-wise, though, all he really does is he gets the job to Frieza to show off how powerful Frieza is. Although, we never actually did see how strong Nail was beforehand, so I don't know if it actually works that well as for jobbing. But yeah, that's the other thing. One interesting thing to mention. So when Frieza sees like the Grand Elder, the really big guy, he calls him Fats. And I just remember at this one convention I went to, one of the guys who like worked on like the translation and dubbing and stuff of the show mentioned that when they were talking about how when this was like broadcast on like broadcast TV Saturday morning cartoon slots, they had to further, well, they mentioned first you have to edit some stuff down for even like the cable broadcast. I don't think they're really doing that now. They've definitely kept some stuff that I think they might have removed the first time around, but they were saying, and then you have to go even farther with that when it's on broadcast. And he mentioned that they had to redub that line because the networks wouldn't let Frieza refer to the guy as Fats.
What did they change it to?
I can't remember, unfortunately. This was like over a decade ago at least, but I just remembered them mentioning that. So, yeah, nothing else to say about that. I don't think, unless you have something.
No, I don't really have much to say about that. You covered it pretty well.
Okay. So, after that, we move on to Yu Yu Hakusho, episodes 22 and 23. So in this episode, Yusuke ends up getting, yes, there's another case he has to go on. Basically, he's supposed to go rescue, what was her name again? Yukina. That was it. Yeah. Who, this, one of the demons who's basically, when she cries, it makes super valuable tears, and the bad guys, especially like this one gangster group, has captured her to try to get money off of her, and they're supposed to go save her. Also, we find out that she's Hiei's sister, so he's gonna be going on his own also. They kind of give an explanation as to why they don't just tell Hiei and have them work together, but it doesn't really make that much sense.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to me. Yeah.
Anyway, so they're going on. Our heroes are able to, get through the enemy, at least the initial enemies, pretty easily. But then they end up, they're going up against what they call the Triad. So, I don't think they've done that yet, but they're about to. And that is our episodes.
Oh, and those guys make bets on whether they're going to beat the Triad or not. My favorite part of these episodes was when, first of all, the fact that they're using a VCR and a VHS, but they put it in at Kuwabara's house and they're watching the whole thing, and it says, and that little guy says, oh, by the way, anyone who does not have spear power is just going to see a whole bunch of fuzz and not hear anything from this. So then so Kuwabara's sister, I think it is, comes in the room, and they expect that all she saw was fuzz the whole time, and then she's like telling them stuff about what they saw, and like, oh, apparently spirit power runs pretty high in Kuwabara's family, and they had to try to make excuses as to what they were doing. That was a pretty funny part.
Yeah. So, was there something else? I thought you said there were two things.
No, I just said one thing.
Okay, maybe I misheard. yeah, that was funny. There are some other fun things in it. I liked I the fact that they're just doing all of those that the guys are just doing the betting is kind of funny, especially because the guy who set it up is like thinking, oh, I know these guys are really strong and they probably will get past my preliminary things. So I'm going to call all the other guys around and have them bet on whether they can get through my forces. And most of them are like saying, yeah, okay, I'll bet like, a several million on, your forces. And then one of the guys is just like, 10 billion on the intruders. Because he's like saying, yeah, I mean, I've heard of these guys. I think they're actually pretty strong, which of course means that if Kuwabara and Yusuke make it through, which they do the first time, that means that the guy who set all that stuff up ends up losing money. So, and he'll probably lose more money the second time around because I don't think it's likely our main characters will die.
Maybe they will.
Well, Yusuke has died already.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so let's see. I think, yeah, that's it. They were fun episodes, honestly, I thought.
Yeah, I enjoyed this first of the two episodes a lot. I thought that was a great episode. Second one was okay, but I really did. I love that part whenever Kuwabara's sister is just in there and they're like, "How are we going to explain it to her?" And she saw the whole thing, so that was pretty good.
I think to me the funnier parts when they're watching the video and it opens up with like these parodies of I think the Paramount and MGM logos, except they've got Koenma in them. That was I thought that was funny. Okay. All right, then we got let's see, what are we moving on to? What's next? It's Oshinoko episode 22.
Okay, well, this episode manages to out Kaguya-Sama because it's basically romance episode with both Kana and Akane, and both of them are basically doing the same things that Kaguya and Shirogane do every episode, which is, try to guess what the other person is thinking the whole time and all that stuff. And so Kana is first, and and basically she goes through the whole thing. They kind of go on a date without actually going on a date, and then Akane kind of goes with him, and they go back to the bridge where he saved her life and basically tells her he can't go on with the relationship. So all that, but then at the very end, we see Ruby laying flowers at her mother's grave, and some guy comes up there and he says something about something. He says something. I don't know what he said, but apparently that's pretty important, and we'll find out more probably next episode.
He said something about, if I remember correctly, refers to Ruby as our daughter, which indicates that, yeah, like he's the father of them, to confirming that, yeah, he actually does seem to still be alive despite, him supposedly dying. What's weird to me is is when Akane thinks to herself, when she thinks, because Aqua tells him, tells her, he says like, oh yeah, well, my father I found out is dead, so I guess that's good for that. And she's like thinking he must really want to believe that, because he's missing the what did she say, like probable what she said, something like obvious probability that he's still alive. And I'm thinking, what is this obvious probability? Like, what is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Honestly.
Maybe it's going to be said in a future episode, but it was weird that it's specified and then not stated, because I mean obviously the probability, you could say from a story perspective, is that they probably wouldn't just anticlimactically kill the guy off like that. And then of course there's the fact he's revealed to still be alive. But I just don't know exactly what the problem she identifies in universe is.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'll be honest, though, I really enjoyed this episode. This is probably my favorite episode of the second season so far. It felt more like the first season again. And it was a little tear-jerking to me to see Akane back on that same bridge as in the original, because that was a very big moment of the first season. So I had to put aside my hatred of Akane for a while. I don't really hate her. I just she's just the rival for Kana. So I'm Team Kana, and I have to protect her at all costs. So yeah, I really enjoyed this episode.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was decent, indeed. Okay. Then we move on to ReZero, episode 55. Okay. So, let's see. So, Subaru and Cruce head over because they go to try to deal with Capella, and then they see like this giant dragon and this girl who's tied up. So they beat the dragon and then free the girl. But turns out the girl was actually Capella, and she's evil, and she has the power to transform stuff. And the dragon was actually just a regular person that she turned into a dragon to fool them. And then she basically beats up Subaru and Cruce pretty easily. But then they do manage to escape because big dragon guy, takes them away. Let's see. Meanwhile, Otto is able to distract Reinhardt's father, which lets him easily beat him and save Felt. And then she just tells him, go off and do your hero stuff. And then that's the major stuff that happens. There's also some stuff with Emilia, but who's still being held captive by Regulus, who wants to what number did he want he want to make Emilia? I can't remember. Was it like 77? Although she meets wife 184, so I don't know if he's choosing them randomly or if if he just has been, some of them have been dying and he just fills the holes there.
Yeah, I forget the number. I don't think it was 77, but so I think I would have remembered if it was repeating digits, but maybe it was. I'm not sure. It was the number.
I found it. I was close. It was 79.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
I thought it was a fun episode for the most part.
Yeah, I just didn't like that part with Emilia and that guy. I thought that was kind of creepy. I also hate seeing Cruce being reduced to being such a useless character whenever she had been so strong in the first season. So I'm still having a hard time getting over that. Yeah, and then there was that Garfield was like drowning or whatever. That was interesting. Yeah, I don't think it was a bad episode. I just there was just some parts I didn't really enjoy that much. So
Well, I knew you were going to complain about how Crochet gets beaten kind of easily, but to be fair, it's not like Subaru does any better either. I guess he's technically on his feet for longer, but he gets beaten pretty easily himself, and also apparently loses his leg.
Yeah, when's the reset coming? You know, we have to have a reset.
We'll see.
Actually, too many important things have happened for there to be a reset. So
yeah, that's I'm not going to make. The problem with a series where I actually have been spoiled and stuff and know some things, and I have to like try to answer. I have to guess what would I say if I didn't know. It's like when discussing Oshi no Ko. I knew that the guy was actually alive, but I didn't. And since it hadn't been said yet, I didn't want to just say that. So last week I tried to give a reaction I think I would have given. So
I knew he was alive too.
Okay.
But yeah, I see what you mean.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't want to spoil anything. I thank you for not trying to spoil anything. I just yeah.
But yeah, on the whole, I thought this was a pretty solid episode. And yeah, the guy's creepy with Amelia, but he's supposed to be creepy. That's the point. That's why he literally just asked. Sorry, what?
It's just very uncomfortable to watch.
I don't know. Honestly, I will. It was, but at the same time, when he just bluntly asked Amelia, "Are you a virgin?" and Amelia says she doesn't know what the word even means, and then he's all super excited about it. Mm-hmm. I can't help it. That was kind of funny. Okay. All right. So yeah, that's ReZero. I'm still.
Yeah, I'm surprised you weren't creeped out by that because you usually don't like fan service. So
that I wasn't what?
I'm surprised you weren't creeped out by that because you usually don't like fan service all that much.
There really wasn't much fan service. I mean, yeah, I know technically Amelia's naked, but you don't actually see anything at all. It's technically, I think we see less of her body than her usual outfit shows us.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of fan service, the more fan service there is Capella, because she's basically she's not wearing much, although actually technically her outfit is actually a little more covering than it was in the original light novels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we got ReZero. We'll move on to, let's see. Yep, we got Kaguya-Sama. Episode 39. So, as from what I understand, basically the more icy part of Kaguya's personality has taken her over, which is why like the episodes are things like the episode, since all the Kaguya-Sama episodes usually like have 3 segments and it gives their name. So like there's Kaguya wants to be noticed, ice, or Kaguya wants to forgive, ice. It literally just puts icy in parentheses after it. So
I didn't notice that.
It's in the episode title. So basically, that version of her is trying to, get like Shirogane to do things like hug her, except she does not communicate this well, and he completely misunderstands all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when she's trying to say, "Oh, I'm very cold. I need warmth," and he doesn't realize that she's trying to get him to embrace her for warmth. Then, there's that stuff, and then the two of them try to get advice from like people they know about how to deal with things, which doesn't actually help them that much out either. And yeah, that's kind of the episodes, really.
Yeah. I thought they're pretty entertaining, though. That ice thing kind of threw me because I'm like, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm thinking, okay, is this just like a figment of his imagination? And is this all not actually happening the way it's happening? So, yeah, I was pretty confused. I was like, man, this can't actually be happening, and it was happening. So, yeah, that was a little weird, but I have to say, did enjoy it, so it was worthwhile.
Yeah, these were fun episodes. And we're halfway through these 4 episodes. We got 2 more episodes, and then we'll be at the end. I wonder when season 4 will come out. Okay.
There's going to be a season 4.
Well, I don't know if there will be. They haven't announced it. I'm going to guess there will be a season 4 because the series is popular, I believe. So, yeah. What? Yeah, I'm going to assume we get a season 4, but who knows? Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just be waiting like we are for Full Metal Panic, which ended on a cliffhanger years ago and still hasn't come back to conclude it, even though it would probably only need 1 season to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, I don't think I have anything else to say about that. And that brings us to the end of our series.
Yep.
Okay. Hey, I guess we can give rankings.
Yeah. 3rd place for me would be Kaguya-Sama. 2nd place would be Yu Yu Hakusho. And the top spot goes to Oshi no Ko.
For me, this one is a bit of a trickier one. Let me think about this briefly. I think I would go with. Oh, this one's annoying. There's too many things that seem like they could fit well. See, this is why I wonder if maybe we should just go back to 1, because picking 1 is easier. Then when I have to pick 3, I'm like, wait, there's 4. Which one do I leave out? So I guess for me, yeah, I've got 4. I'm just trying to decide which of these ones to put in. Okay, we'll do it like that. I will, in fact, put in Oshi no Ko for 3rd and ReZero for 2nd and Kaguya-Sama for 1st.
Okay.
That was them. Yu Yu Hakusho was another strong contender. I don't know. If you asked me like 5 minutes from now, I might end up with a different order. It was a close one for those. And yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's all I've got. Anything you had to say?
No, I decided, since you told me that I was caught up with Bleach, I decided not to watch that for a while. So I'll get caught up on that eventually, but yeah.
They did they did drop like the first several episodes of like the first season dubbed at once. But if you want, like, they are midway through like the season or the part or whatever this 13 or 12 episode batch is called. Like, wait until it's over and then just marathon them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I don't end up catching up and then having to wait a whole week. So
that reminds me of when, so this is kind of funny. So there's this book series I liked. It was called Alex Varys. It was and yeah, it was this book series. It's over. There were 12 books. I thought they were fun. It was an urban fantasy series about a guy who can see the future. And it's actually, do you know what urban fantasy is?
No.
Okay, urban fantasy is a term for like a fantasy series that takes place in what is or is very close to modern day Earth. So, you know, if you've got like characters living in actual like places on Earth, like Chicago or London or any of those sort of things, that's urban fantasy. Now, sometimes they take place in what's supposed to be the real world with the explanation, yeah, you don't know all about this magical world because it's all secret and stuff. Or sometimes they just take place in an alternate timeline that's just like ours, but it's got magic stuff in it. Or it takes place in the near future after all the magic stuff has gotten revealed, that sort of stuff. Like, you know, the most famous example of this is probably Harry Potter.
Okay.
So that was an urban fantasy series. Anyway, the point I was trying to get to is I read the series and I think I got into it when there were like maybe 5 books and I read them as they came out. And some of the books had really annoying cliffhangers that forced me to wait a year to get to the next one. So when the author finished it and brought out a new book series, I decided I will check these out because I like that. But I am not going to read the first book until the second book is out, because that way, if it ends on a cliffhanger, I can move right away to the next book. It ended on a cliffhanger, so I'm glad I did that. I waited until the second book was out and I read it, and now I'm working on the second book. It's, of course, possible the second book ends on a cliffhanger also, so we'll see how that goes, but at least it made it so that I didn't have to wait between them. It was not as big a cliffhanger as some of the stuff from his previous series, but yeah, that's what I decided to do. I will not read the book until the next one is out to try to avoid that cliffhanger problem. Okay. So yeah, there's my spiel there. And yeah, I got nothing else there, so I guess we'll just close off with that then. Anything else, or shall we end?
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, everyone. So we'll see you next week for the usual stuff, although we'll only have one episode of Sailor Moon. And without further ado, see you then.
Bye.
Hey Sarah, can you fire up that sneak peek of James Gunn's new Max show?
Yeah, here's a first look at the DC Studios Max original series feature Commandos.
I know you all aren't exactly enthusiastic about this mission, but...
General, I believe you've read us wrong. We're delighted to be here and delighted to serve our country.
Okay. Great.
You smiling?
Yes.
Sarcastically?
G.I. Robot is detecting unease. Could he be, G.I. Robot asks, in fear of being discovered as Nazi scum?
No. Put your gun down. He's not a Nazi.
Child killer, though. Not a great look.
Supposedly he had a bad experience the last trip he took on this Osprey, that's all.
Creature Commandos is streaming exclusively December 5th on Max.
We won't be intimidated by criminal threats.
Every Saturday night at midnight, Adult Swim is building you a better cartoon show.
We call it Toonami.
I'm in. What the hell are we dealing with here?
That power, it's insane.
And this Saturday, we're premiering a special music video of the new Lord of the Rings movie, The War of the Rohirrim.
Toonami, every Saturday starting at midnight.
Stay focused. On Adult Swim.